Hey Ubers, Vivian here today with a video tutorial. This tutorial is kicking off several days of celebration of handmade jewelry using products from Vintaj and Sizzix. I want to share with you some metal pieces that would be great for pendants or bracelets. These are some of the square or rectangular shaped ones. I prefer the smallest ones for myself. And here are some of the circular ones. I think that one on the left would make a great bracelet for my niece. And here are some of the oval shapes that have a more traditional feeling to them. You may be familiar with some of the Sizzix and Vintaj Deco Emboss and Deco Etch dies to be used with metal blanks. This is a new development. We have several sets of Sizzix Vintaj bezel framelits dies. Die cuts from these framelits dies will fit perfectly into all of those metal shapes from Vintaj. Here's another set. These are round bezels, and the rectangular ones I showed you before were 659, 349 square bezels. So the wonderful thing about these framelits dies is that inner lip is exactly what gets cut. So what you see is what you cut. So there's no guesswork here. And I'm going to be actually using one single tiny scrap piece that I thought was really pretty, that I just used to sop up media that had been left on my craft mat. This is 659, 347 eclectic bezels. And these are all framelits dies. And you can see the value in this because you can cut and cut and cut and cut to your heart's desire. Lots of different patterns and designs to be used with the bezels to create a lot of different styles of jewelry. I'm kind of new to jewelry making, and I must say this was not intimidating at all. Now the reason I'm moving that thing around on my multi-purpose platform is because this is a framelit die, and these framelit dies work great with the magnetic platform, which I don't have with me. I'm working away from home right now, and I forgot to bring it, and you can see how useful that would be in keeping your die in place. It works all right with the multi-purpose platform, but if you are going to be using a lot of framelits dies, I would suggest that you use them with the magnetic platform. It'll keep the dies in place and keep them centered exactly where you want them. After die cutting, I went around the edges of the die cut with a little bit of distress ink. I actually used a chalk ink, and I found a portion of a stamp that I really love just to add a little bit more decoration. There are tiny little leaves on some autumn themed stamps that I recently picked up. And that's it. I had been thinking that a set of these would be great for holiday gifting. There are, let's see, my mom, me, my sister, and my niece that are all women in our family with the last name K. So I thought that one for each of us would make a really great holiday gift. I was very happy that I held on to this little scrap piece and that it carried so much mileage. You can tell all of the die cuts are connected somehow with the same color scheme and the same feeling. And I think it has some figurative value when you think about the connections between all of the women in our family who share the same last name. So in order to set these images and give them a permanence, I'm using a melting pot in conjunction with UT. Both of these products you can pick up at your local craft store, and a little protective mat that I hand cut from a silicone mat that I picked up at Costco. I got like a set of 3. It was very, very affordable, and I just cut it to fit the tray in the melting pot. To keep the tray flat, which is normally slanted for other uses, I just set the lid of the melting pot underneath the top base of the melting pot. And so I turned the heating element all the way up to UT. That's the hottest setting. And I'm going to set my die cuts in the center. Before I do that, I'm just going to put a little bit of UT in the bottom to make sure I've got some adhesion on the bottom. There's also going to be some UT that, as you'll see, will melt over the edges of the top and help keep that die cut in place. So I'm just using a used popsicle stick to get the exact placement that I want and make sure that those pendants are as central as possible, because it gets hottest when it's touching the center and the base of the tray. And then you just sprinkle carefully bits of UT, and you'll see that they'll start melting. And you keep sprinkling until the UT reaches all the way to the edges of your pendant. So you can see it's all just about melted. And it's got a beautiful curved, softly curved dome on top. And your image is perfectly preserved. If it's having trouble reaching the edge, you can just nudge it a little bit. It's all very wet right now. And if somehow your, let's say you decide to sand a little bit on the edges using the reliefing tool from Vintaj, and maybe you scratch up the surface a little bit, you can put that right back into the melting pot. And it will reliquefy, and you will get rid of any scratch marks you might have accidentally made. If I had been thinking ahead about how this would look in the end, I probably would have used my reliefing block on this pendant prior to putting in the bezel, but I just did it very carefully to reveal some of those beautiful shapes and designs on the pendant. And you can see I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited about this new adventure into jewelry making. Here's another one that I made. And let me show you some of the other pieces as well. I think that could be nice as a bracelet for my young niece. And maybe this larger one for my mom. So if you're like me and you're going to be traveling for the holidays, and you want to travel light, but you also want to bring some handmade gifts, I think these would make a great Christmas gift. I got this one chained up just very simply with a jump ring and a chain. The chain is also from Vintaj. I'm going to place some more with these Sizzix Vintaj framelits dies and the pendants from Vintaj in conjunction with some metal foiled papers. And I should have a video tutorial later this month on that on my blog. That's contadinak.com. Keep your eyes peeled on the Sizzix blog. Over the next several days, we're going to have lots of inspirations from the Sizzix design team using these exciting new tools. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.